evening, boils and ghouls. Welcome back to another Round the Clock Fright segment. My name is Kimberly, and today...
Hello, Kimberly. It's an honor.
Ghostface? Is that you?
Yes, it is I, Ghostface. But which Ghostface am I? Am I Skeet Ulrich? Or maybe Emma Roberts? Or maybe that dude who would go on to star alongside Scooby-Doo?
Okay.
I heard you just saw the new Scream movie, so I thought I would ask you some questions.
I have seen the new Scream. What questions do you have for me, Ghostface?
Think of it as a little game. First question. Which of the Scream movies is your favorite? And it better be the first one.
Actually, Ghostface, the first one was my favorite until this new one came out, and now, I don't know, it is a toss-up.
What do you mean you didn't like the first Scream movie? You say that again and I'll stuff you like a turkey.
Whoa now. Calm down there, Ghostface. I never said I didn't like the first one. I said I love the first one, but it's a toss-up between the first one and this one now.
Alright, but you better have nothing but good things to say about this new Scream movie.
Wait, is that a miniature doll of you?
I'm just playing with myself.
Okay. I think that's my cue for me to skedaddle right on out of here and get on with this review. It was nice talking to you, Ghostface. Bye!
Wait! Just one more thing, Kimberly. I wanted to show off some of my cool new Ghostface merch. Yeah. Where's that fucking zipper? Yeah. Chilling like a villain.
That is awesome, Ghostface. I really love the shirt, love the merch, love the little miniature doll of you. Totally cool. But I think it's time for me to get on with this review. Some of our viewers here is waiting to hear my thoughts on this 2022 film, Scream. So, bye, Ghostface. It was nice talking to you. Hopefully we can talk again soon. Welcome back. We just had a good chat with our good friend here, Ghostface. It's always delightful to be able to speak to one of our favorite horror characters. But yes, this review is going to be on the 2022 film Scream. I thought it was Scream 5, but apparently it's just called Scream, so we're just going to go and roll with Scream. But I am definitely very excited to talk about this film. I went and saw this film Thursday night, one of its first showings here, and man, do I have a lot to say, but I'm also going to keep it to a minimum because a lot of the things I do want to talk about would be considered spoilers, and I do not want to do that for anybody who has not seen the film yet, because this film is definitely one of those films I recommend going to see. So here we go. Again, I covered we are not having any spoilers. I will keep it to the minimum, but I will also give you my thoughts on this film overall. So the 2022 film Scream, it takes place, I want to say, I think it's like 20 years? Excuse me, I don't remember. It's quite a few years since the last one that it pretty much picks up at, but it pretty much opens up with one of our new characters. We have a lot of new characters, but we do have some reprising roles from some of our recurring actors, which we all know from the trailer, so it's not much of a spoiler there. But it opens up just like any of the Scream movies. It opens up with the opening shot with Jenna Ortega. She also played in the Netflix original series You season 2. It opens up with her character walking around the house. She's home alone. Nobody's home. Her friend's texting her saying she's going out to get some, drinks to bring over. Guess they're gonna have a sleepover party at her house. And she's just waiting for her to come by. Her mom's not even home. Her mom's out on some kind of business trip or something. Don't know. We never really ever see the mom in this. Actually, to be fair, we don't see the majority of the parents. But so she's home alone. She's on the phone texting her friend when she gets a phone call on the landline, which is kind of funny because it's more modern day. So it's like, who has landlines nowadays? But there's still some people out there that do. But she gets a phone call on her landline. She tells her friend, and her friend's like, well, go ahead and answer it. She tells her not to answer it because they're thinking it's one of her psycho exes or something that won't stop bothering her. But she ends up answering it after the phone, rings several times. And when she answers the phone, it comes off as if it was somebody else. Like, I think they were trying to portray themselves as one of their mom's dates and stuff. And then it leads to our, one of our, what's the word I'm looking for? One of our classics in the Scream movies, asking what is your favorite scary movie. Goes into that whole discussion. Not much spoiling there because, it was in the trailer, first of all, and second of all of these Scream movies open up with one of the main characters getting killed or just something. So this was kind of interesting. And then from there, it just pretty much takes off from there. I want to start off by saying that I, myself, personally really enjoyed this movie. Just like a lot of the other remakes / requels that's been coming out in the past few years. Some of them actually have been very interesting. I enjoyed them a lot, especially because it never felt like a remake per se. It always felt like a continuation from the other ones, but it's like it kind of just but it's not like a continuation for anything after the first. So it's almost like it takes this movie to a whole new direction, but it always ties back to the first, and it's really cool. I have not been disappointed with any of the movies that has done that so far. Like, we got Halloween 2018, excellent. Then it came out with Halloween Kills, another excellent film, and then we're gonna get Halloween Ends, which I will be surprised if it isn't just as excellent as the first two. And then you have movies like Candyman that came out, and what else did more of like that? I like to consider the Child's Play series just the same in that category, because it's a series that ties back to the original, or at least all of them, because it does kind of tie all of them into it. So, films like that has not disappointed me at all. Like, this movie falls right into that category where it's literally continuing from the last one, but it still ties back to the original. And I love that a lot. It's almost like getting a treat of like a reunion 20 years later from your favorite actors of a movie that you love so dearly. And it's almost like they're taking that, but we're seeing what's been going on with them 20 years later in character form, and I absolutely love that. This movie it definitely lived up to expectations. I know one of the things that was questioned was whether this film was going to be as good, because unlike the first 4 movies, they were all directed by the lovable Wes Craven, and the fact that he's no longer here with us, and this fifth one is not directed by him. It's directed by 2 other directors. They're the same directors who directed Ready or Not. And we had to go about looking at this film that Wes Craven didn't do this film. Somebody else did. But did they live up to the expectations of Wes Craven? I would have to say they did. Like, it almost felt like I was watching any of the other Scream movies in Wes Craven's directorial role, but what's who knew? But you can tell there was something a little bit different than the way he does it. You knew there was a little bit of differences in there, but at the same time, the overall concept of how Wes Craven would have done this movie stays true and dear. And the fact that these directors did not hesitate to honor Wes Craven's memory and didn't just, take Wes Craven's baby and just call it their own. They took this movie and they made sure that they met Wes Craven's expectations with it, and I absolutely love that. The fact that we had a couple, references to Wes Craven. Of course, they give him his honorable memorial mention at the very end of the film, but the fact that they named one of their, and I love this so much, but one of the characters in this film, his name is Wes, and I love that a lot. It was almost like they wanted to include Wes Craven in this, and I loved it. That was one way to honor his life and his legacy with the Scream movies. Absolutely loved it. Like I said, the way these directors went about it was amazing. It almost felt like I was getting back into the Scream feel, but with a little bit of added touch to it, and I was not disappointed. Loved it a lot. And where does this film rank on all of these? Because it's funny, when I first watched this Scream films, literally I wasn't attached to it at first. I don't know why. Just something about it seemed hokey at first. I just wasn't a fan. I know. For a horror fan, you're like, wait, you never liked Scream? No, at one point I didn't. Like, I watched all 4 movies and I just wasn't a fan. It took me quite a few years later to go back, rewatch this with a much more open mind, before I could sit there and be like, okay, you know what? These aren't bad. I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe because I watched all of the scary movies, which were like spoofs to Scream, and then watching Scream, and I was like, okay, had that bad taste in my mouth with it. I mean, I guess it's a spoof and we expect comedy and whatnot with the films, but yeah. So when I watched Scream, I was like, wait, it's almost like watching a scary movie, but it's not. Again, that was I guess I will never know why I thought what I did back then, because now I absolutely love them. I enjoyed them. I rank them up there with all of the other classic horror films like Nightmare on Elm Street, Child's Play, Halloween, Friday the 13th. All of them it's ranked up there for me, and I absolutely enjoy the heck out of it. As for Scream, this Scream, I would have to say I would rank it, because nothing will top the original. I love that one so much. That was probably my favorite out of all 4 of the movies. But I would have to say this would have to come into a close second place for me, because I really, really enjoyed the heck out of it. There was some parts of this movie I was a little upset about. I mean, honestly, it wasn't the way the director went with it. I mean, we expected it. It was going to happen. I won't spoil it, but I was a little upset, and that's okay. I will get over that fact, because we have to go about it in a different direction, and yeah. Let's just say I was a little upset, but overall I really enjoyed it. We got some reoccurring actors that came back in here. Like we do have obviously Sydney Prescott. She comes back. We have Gail Weathers. We have Dewey. We even get some other like smaller characters from the original, like I can't think of his name. Randy. Randy's sister comes back into it. Obviously, Randy doesn't come back into it because he was gone after, I think it was the second or third one. I can't remember. But, Randy doesn't come back in here. But we do get some archive footage of Randy, which is kind of cool. And then we do get a surprise guest in here from the original that was kind of exciting. That was one thing that did kind of bother me about their appearance was because the last time we saw them, they were really young. So when we see them again in here, it was like, it's kind of like they did with, what was his name? I gotta think of his name. There was another horror movie I just watched where they try to de-age one of the actors, and it was just really, really noticeable and really bad. Like, it's like you're trying to make them look younger, but it just wasn't flowing. And this was kind of one of those, like, they were trying to make him younger, or maybe they weren't. Either way, it was just one of those things that really just triggered, like, okay, no. But I will say I was just absolutely stoked to see them come back up for a little bit. And then we just get a whole set of new characters. Like, of course, we get, I wouldn't even spoil one of the main characters, his backstory, but it ties to the original, and it's kind of cool. And then we get, like, Randy. Randy has, when we get we do get the appearance from Randy's sister. Randy's sister has 2 kids, a daughter and a son. And that was kind of cool because they kind of connect with the original in some way. And it just was cool. It was just overall, it was amazing how well that was written out, to where it all came back to the original, and it all ends now. And it was fantastic. And then one of the questions I was asked was, does it do a good job with its commentaries? I would say absolutely. Like when you watch the first Scream, you're sitting there listening to the commentaries that fits around that time frame. So, you know, stuff that they talk about on horror movies was things that pertain to horror slasher films like Halloween and Friday the 13th and Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger and stuff like that. So when you hear commentaries in the first one, we're getting things that are from that time frame. Now, when it comes to the 2022 Scream, we're getting honorable mention, like a commentary on horror today and how much horror movies has improved since the 1980s, the 1990s, and it was fantastic. The fact that we got some, you know, mentions about the psychological horror, the paranormal horror, just things like that, it was just really well written, and it fit with the day and age, the modern times. And I absolutely appreciated that, because some of the films that was mentioned, it was like, yes, you know what? Coming from somebody who enjoyed the heck out of, like, slasher films and paranormal films, something about, like, psychological horror just hits a different way. It just brings a little bit more, instills more fear into you. And the fact that gets kind of, like, mentioned in the films, it's great. I definitely had no problem with that. And then we get, you know, like, more of a commentary on remakes, you know, like how that's one of the talk of the centuries is remakes and sequels and requels and stuff like that. And it was really good. I really love the commentaries and it fitting around the modern times and not just sticking to, like, how the first Scream stuck to. So it was really, really well written. I do give these directors a lot of credit, especially for a big role that they had to come on to, and that was to live up to Wes Craven's baby. Like, the fact that they were able to come in here and kill that, it was fantastic. And then the other question I got was, do the younger actors hold up well against the older ones? This is where I'm going to be quite honest with you. There was some of the actors that I would say no. I mean, yes, we get our obnoxious, annoying characters that every horror movie has. It's either an obnoxious, annoying friend, or it's an annoying, obnoxious boyfriend. No matter the cases, you have an obnoxious, annoying character, but sometimes it felt like it was over the top. Almost like, even though they were overbearing, annoying, you just wanted to smack them at times, it just didn't seem like something you would experience with an annoying, obnoxious person here, unless they were just, like, you know. But then there was some that it was really well, like the cousins, yeah, the niece and nephew of Randy's. really well. Perfect. Like, it almost felt like they reincarnated or recreated Randy through them. Loved it. Great acting, performance, everything. Now, I did have a little bit of some concerns with the main girl. Like, she was good. Don't get me wrong, she was good. But there was just some things that it just didn't sit right with me. Like, first of all, we have this girl that's got a lot going on for her. Without spoiling anything, has a lot going on for her. But there was parts in the movies where she came off as if, as soon as she walked through the room, she was, Mrs. Billy Badass, like, she just came off with this, I'm better with you ego, and it just didn't sit right with me, because coming from the standpoint of her backstory and everything that she went through, that just didn't seem like a character development. It just, the direction that character went, was not a fan of that. But for the most part, on other things, it just came once in a while, and when it did come, it was kind of annoying. But for the most part, I did like her character and how her character went about as the film progressed on. So I do give credit there. But other than that, there were some hit and miss characters. Hit and miss characters. Some were good, some could have been better, some not so good. But yeah. And then one last thing I do want to say before wrapping up this review, and it's kind of interesting to me. I noticed going in and watching this movie that I was sitting on the edge of my seat the whole time. And of course, I'm sure all of you who has came from watching the first 4 Screams know exactly why we'd be sitting on the edge of our seat. It is the last Scream movie that's going to tie up to the original. What do we have? We have 3 main characters who survived 1 through 4, and now we have them coming back for this final hoorah moment. And now we're on the edge of our seat worrying about, are we going to keep these, is Sydney going to be our final girl even to the end? Are we going to keep Gail Weathers? Are we going to keep Dewey? Like, are they all going to come out of this like they did the first 4 movies? So me personally, I was sitting on the edge of my seat from beginning to end. And when it got to the very end, without talking about the end and spoiling the end, that last 30 minutes, I was literally like, I felt my adrenaline rushing. My adrenaline was getting so high because I was like, oh my goodness, what is going to happen? Like, I'm just sitting there. I'm probably being stared at by some of the other moviegoers, like, what the heck she's getting? This is probably one of the films that we actually keep the final girl to the very end. Like, you have A Nightmare on Elm Street. That doesn't happen. Nancy Thompson doesn't she survived the first one. She didn't survive moving forward with the series until you get to the new one. Then you have Friday the 13th. She doesn't live. Like, and then Halloween, Jamie Lee Curtis, depending on which timeline you're going about. If you're going, there's like 4 or 5 different timelines running. Unless you're just following from the first until the requel. Moving forward, she doesn't live on the other timelines, just this oncurring one right now. But, it's frustrating. So yeah, like when you have like characters like Sidney Prescott who beat Ghostface from 1 to 4, you're like, is she gonna make it out? Is she gonna make it out? And then including the other 2 characters who we grew up and loved from the very first. So yeah, I'd have to say that last 30 minutes, be prepared if you are deeply invested in the Scream movies like I am. You're gonna be, your adrenaline's gonna be high. I literally had to sit in my car for a good 5 minutes after the movie just to breathe and calm down because I literally got so invested into this movie. But my overall ranking of this movie, I would have to say a solid 10 out of 10. I absolutely loved it. I will watch it again. When it comes out on DVD, I will definitely be purchasing this. And yeah, I definitely will have to say, just like Halloween and Halloween Kills and Candyman, it is great. If you are a Scream fan and you have not seen this one, I definitely highly recommend going and seeing it because it is amazing. But again, thank you all for joining me on this review of the 2022 film Scream. Got to watch me talk to our good friend Ghostface for the first half of my review. And stay tuned. We have so much more for you guys. We love the support and we look forward to making more of these for you. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening. Stay safe, stay spooky, and go watch Scream.